All right, guys. Yesterday you should have done your I ready. That was Wednesday, and then Tuesday you should have done the lesson, the first half of the lesson that I did with you guys on this video thread on YouTube, and then you should have finished filling out that, and then answering this question right here. So today, what we're going to do is we're just going to extend this lesson just a little bit longer, so that you guys can have a really good understanding of what point of view is and how it works in literature. Okay, so our first direction says say read the following story. Use the study buddy and the close reading to guide your reading. All right, so it says this story is in the form of a girl's diary. As I read, I'll underline details that help me understand more about her point of view. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do for you guys today. I'm going to read this story, we're going to answer the questions, and then you're going to move on to do what you need to do to end this lesson, okay? So let's get reading this. All right, it says Landing at Ellis Island by Stuart Crawley. If this is a diary, guys, it's going to be written in first person, meaning she's going to say I, us, or we. Okay? So it says, from the diary of Anaya Bulgakov, age 13, August 24th, 1912. I'm not speaking to my parents. This afternoon, we were standing at the railing on the ship's deck, mother and father cheering and pointing out at the island approaching across the waves. They hugged me. I didn't hug back, and told me again how our wonderful new home in America was going to be full of opportunities. I didn't speak English. I reminded them only Russian, and I wouldn't know any of their customs. I miss my real home. August 25th, 1912. The Ellis Island Great Hall, where we waited for 5 hours to be processed hundreds with strange to be processed thundered with strange voices and terrifying faces. Finally, I wedged myself under my mother's arm to escape the distant cries of a child. At least a stern medical examiner inspected. At last, sorry guys. At last, a stern medical examiner inspected each of us. We were not marked with chalk, thank goodness. That would have been a sign that we were ill and had to be deported. Relieved, we moved on to another line. Then we came to a table where the impatient man, who always spoke Russian, asked us question after question. He recorded the details in his ledger, and to my great relief, we were done. Okay, guys, so there's a couple of things that stood out to me in there, that gave me details and helped me understand her point of view and how she's feeling. So, one, she said that there were a lot of strange voices. So if there were a lot of strange voices, she's realizing that she's not home anymore or where she used to be. She also said that there were many terrifying faces. So strange and terrifying. And then she got underneath her mama's arm to escape the distant cries of a child. So, I mean, this is pretty much telling me how she's feeling. She's in a strange place. She's terrified. And she pretty much wants to escape, even though she's talking about a child. Okay? So let's keep reading this. September 9th, 1912. The city is a bustling and amazing place. We've rented rooms in a building with other Russian immigrants. And my new friend, Katya, has promised to help me learn English. Father has secured work at a printer's shop, and mother has made my favorite shashlik and prushiki dishes for our new neighbors. New York City might just become a home for me after all. Whoa, okay, alright, so let's just go ahead and let's state the obvious, guys. Her attitude completely changed, her point of view. Here, it was strange, it was terrifying, she was wanting to escape. Here, right out of the gate, guys, she says, this city is a bustling and amazing place. If she didn't like the place, she wouldn't have called it amazing. Okay? So her point of view changed over the length of this short text. So let's go down here and let's read. Use the hints on the page to help you answer the question. At the beginning of the story, what is the narrator's point of view about immigrating to America? All right. It says Anya is angry and upset about having to leave Russia. Anya is anxious about having to learn English. C. Anya is excited to be making a new home in a new country. D. Anya is grateful that there will be new opportunities for her. All right, this one's pretty easy, guys. Remember, we've already said how she felt up here. We boxed it in. Strange, terrifying. She wanted to escape. So when we look at these four answer choices, we can go ahead and rule out a couple. Okay, so A. Anya is angry and upset about having to leave Russia. Yeah, she's angry. She even said it up here, guys. She says, I am not speaking to my parents. Okay, so she's pretty much angry. All right, so let's leave that one. B. Anya is anxious about having to learn English. She didn't say anything about learning English in the first part of the text, I don't think. She just said she couldn't, or there were strange voices, and she didn't know English, but she never said anything about learning English. So let's cross that one out. Anya is excited to be making a home in a new country. We know that's not true because she said that it was strange and she wanted to escape. D. Anya is grateful that there will be new opportunities for her. No, she did not want this opportunity at the beginning. She said that everything was strange. She was not talking to her parents, and that she wanted to go back to her wonderful home back in Russia. All right, so we are left with A. All right, Anya is angry and upset about having to leave Russia. All right, let's look at number two, guys. Number two says, what text evidence supports the idea that Anya feels afraid during her day at Ellis Island? All right, guys. So just a little background. Ellis Island is a place where all immigrants came um, back in the 1800s and the 1900s, early 1900s, from other countries in order to be brought into New York City. So they had to be checked, like they said up there. If you weren't sick, you were good to go, and things like that. So that's where everybody had to go to first before coming to America. So it says, once again, what text evidence supports the idea that Anya feels afraid during her day at Ellis Island? A. She and her family had to wait for 5 hours to be processed. B. She was not marked with the chalk that meant she was ill. C. She says that the Great Hall was filled with terrifying faces. And D. She describes the man who asked her questions as impatient. All right, so let's go up here. Let's see. She starts about here. The Ellis Island is a great hall where we waited for 5 hours. Okay, so she does say they waited for 5 hours, like it says in A. However, let's think about that. Does that mean it's terrifying just because you wait for 5 hours? No. When I go get my license, or when you go get your license whenever you're older, it's not necessarily terrifying to wait in line for 5 hours. Okay, so waiting in line is not terrifying. So that could not be the answer. So let's go ahead and let's mark out A. Because A is, oh, not the right thing. A is not the correct answer, okay? B, she was not marked with the chalk. That meant that she was ill. Well, I think that's wrong. I think if you were marked with the chalk, that meant you were ill. Let's see, right here. We were not marked with chalk. Thank goodness. That would have been a sign that we were ill. So if you're marked with chalk, then that means you're ill. So she was not, so that means she was not ill. So that cannot be the correct answer. C, she says the Great Hall was filled with terrifying faces. Yep, strange voices and terrifying faces. If you were in a place that was with terrifying faces, that's like going through a haunted house. When you see a terrified face, you're going to be screaming and jumping and hollering and trying to get up out of there. Okay? So that could very possibly be the answer. And then D, she describes the man who asks her questions as impatient. I don't think impatient describes or would make her afraid. I think it would just make them annoyed. So I don't think it's D. I'm going to go with C as my final answer, and that is correct. Okay. And then 3. Let's move on. Describe how uh Anya's attitude toward her new home changes by the end of the story. Include at least 2 details from the text that show how the author develops Anya's point of view. All right. So we need to describe how Anya's attitude changed how she now views. So, 1, we already got it right here, guys. All right. I'm not going to write it out, but she said that city is a bustling and amazing place. And then also, New York City might just become a home for me after all. So there is 2 examples of where she said that New York City would be the home for her now. And that is her point of view. Okay? So guys, that concludes our lesson for today. All right? We did 157 for today. I want you to go down and I want you to read From a Jar of Dreams. Okay? And I want you to read all of this. Go down here. Answer questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will be done. Okay, guys, make sure that you go through here, you follow exactly what it says. Read up here. You need background knowledge. Okay, make sure you remember point of view, tracking that point of view. Make sure you point out the words that describe the character, the speaker, whoever's actions, feelings, things like that. And then finish out these questions down here after you read it all, guys. Okay, I will be giving you feedback on here by probably putting a comment on what you turn in. So make sure that you are reading those comments, guys. Also, do not forget, if you have questions, I meet on Google Meets every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 12:30. Okay, the Google Meet is on the S'more link. Okay, so click on that S'more that I send out via email. I will start putting that on Google Classroom as we speak. Okay, so go ahead, get this done, guys. I will talk to you next week, or if you come to my meeting. Okay, all right, bye, guys.